Northern Eurasia is a land of extremes, from the frozen tundra of Siberia to the oil-rich shores of Caspian Sea. Spanning six former Soviet republics, this region has been shaped by empire, revolution, and the quest for identity. In this video, we will explore the physical landscape, the turbulent history, and the modern struggles of Russia, Belarus, Ukraine, Georgia, Armenia, and Azerbaijan. Let me start with climate and landforms. The natural environment here is nothing short of dramatic. Sweltering heat, brutal cold, drought, and flooding all exist side by side. The Ural Mountains may divide Europe and Asia, but they rarely rise above 5,000 feet. Farther south, the Caucasus Mountains create a stunning natural border between the Black and Caspian Sea. And then there is the Volga, Europe's longest river, and the heart of Russian culture. But life here isn't easy. In East Siberia, January lows average minus 42 degrees Fahrenheit. That means massive energy consumption just to survive. Ukraine, Belarus, and Russia share a common ancestor, Kievan Rus, centered along the Dnieper River, but by 1700, Russia was huge yet backward. Under Caesar Peter the Great, who dragged Russia into the modern age, building a navy, defeating Sweden, and even subordinating the church to the state. Later, Katarina the Great embraced the arts and education but kept her grip on power. She expanded Russia southward, seizing land from the Crimean Tatars and taking part in the partitioning of Poland, giving Russia what is now Belarus and most of Ukraine. By 1800, Russia led the war in iron and steel, but soon fell behind in the Industrial Revolution. The Crimean War exposed that weakness. Still, by the late 1800s, new industrial centers emerged. The Donbass coal region, the Dnieper iron districts, and Baku's oil fields. Railroads tied it all together, yet Russia remained an economic giant with a developing country structure. By 1917, World War I had broken Russia's economy. The Tsar was forced out. Vladimir Lenin promised bread, peace, and land. And the Bolsheviks took power. After a brutal civil war, Lenin introduced the new economic policy, but it was Joseph Stalin who would reshape the nation. Stalin demanded rapid industrialization and collectivization at any cost. Millions of peasants died in farms, and millions more were sent to the Gulag labor camps. The 5-year plans turned the Soviet Union into a heavy industrial superpower, but at the expense of consumer goods. Still, the system beat Nazi Germany, launched Sputnik, and competed with the US in the Cold War. But by the 1980s, the cracks were showing. The war in Afghanistan, the nuclear disasters at Chernobyl, and a collapsing economy eroded faith in the system. Chernobyl poisoned much of Belarus and Ukraine, sparking environmental and nationalist outrage. Meanwhile, Soviets queued for poor quality goods while the West seemed like paradise. Gorbachev reforms, glasnost, perestroika, demokratia opened the floodgates. When a failed coup tried to reverse course in 1991, it was too late. Russia, Ukraine, and Belarus declared independence. The Soviet Union was gone. Today, Russia faces a demographic crisis. The birth rate is just 1.6 children per woman. Male life expectancy hovers around 60 years, driven by heart disease and alcohol. Immigration slows the decline but doesn't reverse it. Economically, Russia is a land of contrasts. Oil and gas drive growth in Siberia and the Volga region. Skolkovo, Russia's Silicon Valley, aims for tech innovation, and Kaliningrad, a Russian exclave on the Baltic, offers European access with Russian labor costs, though its military role keeps tensions high. Agriculture tells two stories. Large scale farming continues, but much of the best land is now in Ukraine and Kazakhstan. Soviet collective farms have become corporations, but millions still survive on tiny private pilots, a shadow of the past. In Belarus, still tightly linked to Russia, Chernobyl contaminated a quarter of the land. Ukraine, with its political turmoil, have held it back. Ukraine, with its Chernozem soil, remains a potential breadbasket, but war and political turmoil have held it back. Georgia struggles with breakaway regions. Armenia and Azerbaijan have fought over Nagorno-Karabakh, a conflict recently resolved in Azerbaijan's favor. And Azerbaijan's oil wealth is a blessing and a curse, bringing revenue but also corruption and dependency. From the Volga to the Caucasus, from Siberian frost to Baku's oil fields, northern Eurasia is a realm of extremes. Its history is one of the ambitions and suffering of empire and collapse. Today, these six nations walk a difficult line between legacy and transformation. Understanding this region means understanding the forces that still shape our world.